Kenyan flag. You look like. Hamjambo everyone, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to Beyondcoqun, where I document what it actually looks like to step out of your comfort zone and grow into something more tangible than your closed walls. Today, we're looking at a day spent at the United Nations office at Nairobi, UNON, for the third edition of the Youth Environment Assembly year that happened in November last year. It took so long to make this because, well, life was lifing, but I had to synchronize my notes and this video to encourage you to get out of your cocoon as well. Anyway, the Youth Environment Assembly is a huge convening for youth tackling environmental issues, and you have to stay tuned to get a glimpse of what such spaces do for you and why you should attend in future if you care about the environment. As usual, the morning was quite chilly, but for some reason, the quiet of the morning, the cool, fresh air, and good music made my morning feel so light and supercharged, all ready for learning and getting new experiences. Now, getting to the actual location from the CBD was the only part of the morning that felt kinda heavy. I'm going to say accessibility to such places by public transport is hectic. But if reducing carbon footprints is a non negotiable for you, public is the way to go. For convenience peeps, don't feel left behind. Hop on your cabs when prioritizing ride sharing with friends as compared to solo trips. So in the end, your girl got late trying to reduce her carbon footprint because the bus was filling up really slow. I ended up using a cab anyway, but tagged along with my fellow delegates. While approaching UNEP HQ, the distance from the public transport stage to the location was really long. Long. I really wondered if public transport was an option for me at this point. On the other hand, my steps up will definitely eat. So, a little backstory before we dive into the event. Just for context, the part of 2025, I kept running into moments that made me stop and think about the state of our planet. A key moment was a period of sweltering heat that made me start the Sustainably Earth Awareness Initiative because I felt like I needed to take action. Every time I stumbled upon stories of climate change, sustainability somehow found its way as an answer for me, and I had to find out if it's realistically achievable. I needed to be in a room with real young people who were either asking the same questions as I or had already started finding answers. Not a TED talk, not even a LinkedIn post, just a room. And so there I was, walked in and kind of glad that I was not the only ambassador of team lateness. Just as I approached the hall, I found the whole crew of attendees getting a group photo. The turnout was wild. I stood there feeling grateful that there is an enormous group of youth choosing to care and talk about keeping the earth conducive for living. Now, day one had a total of 7 sessions, and I got to attend three. I'll tell you about some that I attended and give an honest beginner's experience in the end. But before we move on, UNEA stands for United Nations Environment Assembly, and YEA, which is the event we're walking into today, is essentially the youth led forum that feeds youth discussions into UNEA. Think of it
That
as
is
the youth making
outrageous.
sure their voices are heard in the room where the big decisions are made. With UNEA 7 coming up, the first session kind of acted like a report card of what had been done since UNEA 6 in 2024 and potential pending items. Here, I got introduced to pretty cool youth groups which have different constituency youth representatives. For example, the Youth Plastic Action Network amplifies youth voices at the INC, which is the International Negotiations on Plastic Pollution. This was so relevant to me because I am working on creating awareness of sustainable consumption of products in order to try and reduce pollution, and hearing there's advocacy for this was a great insight. For more on such groups, please access the mini report in the link attached to this video to see where you fit and what you can work on. Back to the story. The other two sessions I attended were reforming the multilateral environment architecture and protecting the ozone layer. These two were a little bit technical for me, but at least now I have a rough idea of the Montreal Protocol and the Kigali Amendment. Before this, I used to think that the ozone layer was depleted by carbon dioxide emissions, but that is not the case. So, this is where the Montreal Protocol comes in. It's actually one of the most successful environmental treaties in history that has really skilled healing of the ozone layer. All this by addressing human made greenhouse gas emissions, known as ozone depleting substances, ODSs. Some examples include chlorofluorocarbons that can be found in air conditioners, aerosol cans, and even refrigerators. A mouthful, but interesting, right? So, what was it like being in those rooms as a beginner? Honestly, quite overwhelming, wonderful, and also a learning journey. There were moments I was like, this is so heavy. Who is going to address all these problems articulated in the span of 2 days? The reality is, there is a sense of urgency, and these conversations need to happen right now. And the answers to these problems, I believe, are within us. I'm very happy to say my notebook had new words in it and got a few contacts of youth who are onboarding this train of change like I was. All in all, you don't have to be the most knowledgeable in the room to be there. You just have to show up and learn along the way, like I did. That was all for day one, my dearest Beyond family. And honestly, it was a lot, but the kind that fills you up rather than drains you. It was entirely fulfilling to be in a room where young people decided that just knowing about climate change and the environment was not enough. They wanted to act. I got to be one of those people and still figuring out my lane, and you can too. So make sure to come back for day two because day two was where things got real in a different way. We got into workshops, we talked waste, we talked green jobs. Until then, take care of yourselves and take care of the planet. Kwaheri na tuonane kwa wakati mwingine. Bye bye.